Hello, my name is Nick Van Dorf. The date today is September 29th, 2015. I'm here to give my speech. Hello, I'm a senior at Roger Bacon, here in Cincinnati, but I've been many places. I've lived in Holland and France. I am a dual Dutch and American citizen. In the Netherlands, there is a current controversy, which revolves around a child tradition, Sinterklaas, or Saint Nick in English. In the tradition, Saint Nick comes from Spain to the Netherlands on a steamboat to deliver toys and candy to good children. Accompanying him on his voyage are the Zwarte Pieten, or Black Petes in English. The Black Petes are Saint Nick's helpers. For over 200 years, the role of Black Pete has been reenacted by white people who painted their faces black. The predominantly white population of Holland see this as an innocent celebration. This fact is starting to change, however. With a rising number of immigrants of color, the image of Black Pete is being recognized as a reference to the dark days of slavery, with the Black Petes as servants to Saint Nick. A debate has started that the world is watching, as evidenced by articles in the New York Times and The Economist. I'm telling you about this story that ties to my personal history to demonstrate how images of others, and especially others that don't look like us, can make large groups of people think in a preset way. It is impossible to ignore the connection between a seemingly innocent child's tradition and the fate of numerous immigrants, whether fleeing from the Middle East and seeking shelter in Europe, or looking for a better life in the US. Preset thinking, sometimes through traditions that we grew up with as little kids, prevent us from seeing other people as human beings entirely equal to ourselves. Holland is one of the older nations in the world, and for the longest time, Holland only consisted of predominantly white people. More recently, however, Holland has become more diverse. Starting in the 1960s, people from the former Dutch colonies in Indonesia, Suriname, and the Antilles came to live in Holland as the colonial era finally drew to a close. Also, a rapidly growing economy required many more workers than were present. As a consequence, new citizens from countries like Turkey and Morocco were welcomed to join. The new citizens started to participate in many of the traditions of Holland, and they enriched the country by bringing their own traditions. The appreciation of Black Pete, though, was certainly not the same as it had been traditionally for the exclusively white population. People for whom the memory of slavery is a very painful and personal one started to speak up and ask for changes. Thus, the controversy was born. The traditional people of Holland see the Saint Nick tradition as harmless child's play. People say that this has been a tradition passed through generations, that it's part of Holland's roots. They claim that there is no intent to hurt other people's feelings, and to alter the color of Black Pete's skin because of possibly offending people is irrational. Holland also believes the color of Black Pete's skin to be relevant because it ties to their heritage. The tradition has been like this forever, and to alter this would be to take away a part of Holland's identity. I think that the traditional people of Holland simply fear to become just another country, in Europe and in the world. Through further and further integration into the European Union, and through the strong tide of globalization in general, there's a pervading sense of loss of identity. Holland has been a powerful and influential nation in its own unique way. However, Holland is also a small country, and in the emotional blend of a globalizing outside world, combined with a rapidly ethnically mixing inside world, feelings of loss of identity exist. And in the issue like Saint Nick, tradition then becomes a lightning rod, where all criticism, justified or not, hits a raw nerve. This controversy shows a clear dilemma for the people of Holland. How do you distinguish between a holiday that is designed for children or if it's a racist holiday? Well, the answer is simple. Other countries have shown their disgust with this holiday and the image that it portrays. For example, a common kids television channel in America is Nickelodeon, and Holland has Nickelodeon as well. During St. Nick, Holland's Nickelodeon always broadcasts about Black Pete. I even remember watching TV and seeing Black Pete's handing out candy to kids. The headquarters in America has demanded that the Dutch Nickelodeon stops broadcasting about Black Pete because it is simply too racist for them. Another stark warning was delivered to the Dutch government as recent as this past month, when the United Nations released their latest report on racism. In it, they recommended that the Dutch government becomes actively engaged in changing the imagery of Zwarte Piet so that St. Nick can become a holiday to be enjoyed by all citizens. As a small child living in Holland, I enjoyed the St. Nick tradition. I believed in St. Nick and Black Pete, just like US children believe in Santa Claus. But as I've seen the world and met with many people, I strongly believe that the image that Black Pete portrays is intolerable. The history of slavery is tragic and simply should not be used in such a casual setting. There is never a need to hurt or offend anybody, as this should be a fun time for all. And I pray that in our near future there will be a change to Zwarte Piet and bring out a new and better light of Holland. Human rights start with our very selves, and the world is watching.